Welcome to Frost & Sullivan's Growth Podcast. This series brings you the most relevant takeaways from our Growth Opportunity webinars, where industry leaders and growth experts unpack the forces reshaping global industries and long-term competitiveness. In this episode, we explore key takeaways from the recent Reimagining Air Cargo and Economic Corridors, how contextual AI is powering policy intelligence and growth strategy. Growth webinar. We distill the most critical insights from the discussion to help policymakers, airport authorities, airlines, and logistics leaders navigate volatility and make faster, intelligence-led decisions.
Why air cargo corridor planning is being rewritten. Air cargo ecosystems are operating under tighter planning cycles than ever before. Geopolitical volatility, shifting trade alignments, tariff changes, and airspace constraints are continuously reshaping corridor relevance and hub competitiveness. Traditional corridor planning models built on stable demand assumptions and long-range forecasts are struggling to keep pace with this level of disruption. Speed, predictability, and resilience are becoming as important as physical infrastructure. Contextual AI platforms such as MetaBrain are emerging as critical intelligence layers. By continuously interpreting market signals, regulatory shifts, operational data, and disruption indicators, they help leaders understand where competitiveness is forming and where strategic relevance is eroding. How is your air cargo strategy adapting to real-time intelligence rather than relying on static corridor assumptions?
From static forecasts to continuous corridor intelligence. One of the strongest themes from the webinar is the shift away from periodic reporting toward always-on decision intelligence. Trade shocks, manufacturing relocation, and policy shifts are driving rapid fluctuations in cargo flows and capacity requirements. Historical data alone is no longer sufficient to guide corridor planning. MetaBrain supports continuous demand sensing and real-time signal interpretation, enabling decision-makers to anticipate disruption, reallocate capacity faster, and adjust routing and investment priorities dynamically. This shift is redefining how corridor performance is monitored, moving from annual reviews to live intelligence that evolves with the ecosystem. What capabilities do your teams need to move from static analysis to continuous intelligence-driven corridor planning?
Rethinking hub competitiveness beyond infrastructure. Size hub competitiveness is no longer defined by scale alone. Speed, reliability, policy agility, and intelligence maturity are increasingly shaping how cargo flows are routed. Tier 1 hubs are maintaining advantage by integrating scenario modeling and predictive analytics into operations. At the same time, Tier 2 and Tier 3 hubs are emerging as important growth nodes as flows rebalance across regions. However, these emerging hubs often face infrastructure gaps and policy blind spots. Contextual intelligence helps policymakers identify where targeted investments deliver the highest economic return and where corridor positioning can be sharpened. How are you assessing hub competitiveness using intelligence, resilience, and policy readiness rather than infrastructure scale alone?
Managing volatility with scenario simulation and shared intelligence. Volatility is no longer episodic in air cargo networks. It is structural. The panel highlights how scenario simulation and predictive analytics are becoming essential for managing tariff changes, airspace disruptions, and sudden demand shifts. What-if analysis allows leaders to understand how policy decisions cascade into operational and economic outcomes. Equally important is ecosystem coordination. Siloed data limits response speed. Shared intelligence layers improve transparency across airports, airlines, freight forwarders, and regulators, enabling faster collective action and bottleneck resolution. How prepared is your organization to simulate disruption and coordinate responses across the air cargo ecosystem?
Policy intelligence as a lever for corridor resilience. Policy is no longer a static framework. It is a dynamic driver of corridor relevance and economic resilience. Trade policy, tariffs, and regulatory constraints are immediately influencing cargo flows, routing decisions, and hub attractiveness. Adaptive policy design, supported by multi-scenario intelligence, is becoming critical to sustaining competitiveness. The webinar closes with a clear call to action: move from observing disruption to actively designing intelligence-led air cargo strategies. This includes identifying corridor-specific risks, equipping teams to interpret real-time signals, and building adaptive roadmaps aligned with long-term growth goals. How is your policy framework evolving to stay responsive to real-time trade and corridor dynamics?
That's all for today on Frost & Sullivan's Growth Podcast. To revisit the full growth webinar and explore how MetaBrain is supporting real-time decision intelligence across air cargo ecosystems, check out the episode links. To learn how Frost & Sullivan can help your organization translate corridor signals into actionable policy and growth strategies, visit frost.com or write to us at hello@frost.com. Until next time, stay future-focused and growth-ready.